I think like the weirdest thing is that essentially we have it where it's just like, oh yeah, here's nothing for like a good while, but then let's just dump everything in like one day. It's always interesting when you see that, like, and I'm
Are
just
you talking
not
about the wishes?
well, not only like the wish, but I'm talking about the like with just like everything because it's like you have like, and it's not just like including that. There's also like with trailers, games, and like all that stuff. It's just really interesting because it's just like,
I
okay,
mean, yeah, I mean that's what happens when you have like big events. You know, like
that's true.
when Comic Con would come around, you'd have like all these like different trailers that would come out every day.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. I think.
Or DC fandom, you'd have all the DC stuff come out.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think what
May the 4th is when all the Star Wars stuff comes out.
yeah. Then you have what could have been E3, but is now like essentially Jeff Keighley's shit, where it's just like, yeah, let's just have an entire summer where it's just
I think
dedicated
the
to showing
problem
that
here's the
off.
problem with E3, right? The problem with E3 is that last year both Microsoft and PlayStation did their own streaming things, right?
I mean,
And now that has caught on essentially to the point where they no longer need E3.
well, I mean, the thing is that I feel like E3 at that time was something like that's outdated because you have it where like, oh yeah, you have like XYZ going on at one like location, but at that point, a lot of the times with everything, because at that point it was just like, all right, we only have like essentially like G4 TV to show everything off. So everything happens at one spot, E3, boom. But now with like, streaming, like with Twitch, you have also like shit like, YouTube, and there's some that have their own stuff too that like they stream out of. And so
Mm-hmm.
with that, that's just kind of where like, oh yeah, let's just do our own thing. And
Yeah, it's
honestly,
basically with the advancement of technology and like streaming and more conventions being open up, E3 has essentially just kind of fallen behind.
oh yeah, 100%. I think I think the one thing is well, like E3 has always
And
kind
I
of
think
been
what
like,
hurt E3 a lot was the fact that over time, a lot of big games stopped getting announced at E3 and would instead get announced at Gamescom or on a live stream or something else.
I mean, I feel like that is for essentially everything when it comes to that, because it's
Yeah,
like
but E3
there's,
used to be the place where it was the big games, you know?
well, I mean, the issue is that because E3 just like with PAX, like PAX and E3 were essentially like the two main pinnacles, like the pillars of showcase. Like if if it's not announced at E3, it's likely they have the announcement coming out at PAX, and there's like a playable option for that, or vice versa.
Yeah,
And
but it's like you get what I mean though. That like
yeah,
E3 has kind of just like it used to be the big game event of the year. Like
oh
there
yeah,
was other game events, but you knew E3 was going to be the big event of the year. You know?
oh 100%, yeah. But I think, but again, there's so many things with that. But I think we actually talked about that before too, on another episode of it. Speaking of which, welcome to the HZRDCast episode 6, where it's again Saf and I just chilling, shooting the shit, and talking about a few different things. So in this case, going off of like the whole thing of like the playable like test builds and all that, I did kind of also wanted to like kind of start this off with the what's it called? I can't even remember the name of it. The Battlefield 2042 open beta that happened last week. Because as of like recording this, it is on it's October 17th, and the public beta was from what I think it was like the early access was from the 6th
It
or
was the 6th to the 7th.
yeah.
Public was 8 to 9.
Yeah. But, we were able to kind of get our hands on that and see what it was like and make sure that, we get an understanding of what it feels like. And in my opinion, for our, I don't know about your experience, but the experience that I had, I got, I was kind of having my hopes, fairly high. And it's not because of it's like Battlefield, in the same time frame as Battlefield 4, 3/4, but it's more the fact of this is likely going to be the game that I'm going to be putting most of my FPS hours in, instead of Call of Duty, because looking at Vanguard, I was just I am likely not going to touch that because one, I'm not a huge World War II shooter type of guy. If it's for zombies, yeah, I'm fine with that. But overall, it's just kind of I wouldn't say an, apologies. But, what's the easiest word, for that? I can't even think of it. World War II shooters are essentially, oversaturated. It, particularly within,
Is it?
I mean, when you really look at it, especially when in Call of Duty,
I guess nowadays it's oversaturated because when Call of Duty decided to just continuously do modern day and futuristic, everyone else decided to do
yeah, they all wanted to do the stuff. And I mean, what we have, if we actually look at it from Call of Duty's standpoint, you had World at War. Actually, I think everything up until 4 was based around World War II. Then you had World at War. And then, skip a few games, you had World War II. And then, again, skip a few games, and then you have, Vanguard. And so it's as much as I'm okay, yeah, it's a really, intense location and all that. And, I can understand, the vibe for that. It's just, for me, it's, there's just, I find that just kind of at this point, feeling. Because it's alright, great. I'm going to be using either the Mosin Nagant, Kar 98, or, one of the 5 well-known German submachine guns, or one of the 3 well-known American machine guns, with maybe a British or or Japanese SMG just tossed in the middle of that, seeing what how that is. And I'm not gonna say oh, they're all the same, blah 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 blah, but it's just the fact of being within that same time frame in that same area is does kind of detract to it. But going into Battlefield 2042, my personal experience was great. A lot of the aspects that I liked about Battlefield 2042 was just kind of it brought me back to the times when I would sink hours into Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 3 when I was, when it was back on the 360. And I was just I'm just hooked. I can't do anything else about this. This is my life now. And I've never had a negative experience when going and looking back at those times. I think the only one negative experience I had was the fact that I actually got yelled at because I was playing it for too long. But with how the map that they had was very good. I think because it brought in a lot of the different aspects that I did want to see. There was the interactivity of of the rocket launching off. And I don't think I think I may have had this happen once where essentially there was it was during a typhoon, and there was a tornado, and like you can see the effects of that, and it's incredible. Like everything, it's just full blown chaos to the point where it's just like you're not sure if you can really use the same tactics when legitimately shit just went off the rails much more than you would expect. And like that whole aspect, like the huge aspect of that, like I enjoyed a lot. And then, you know, with the different like the different changes that they have, like instead of having like, oh, you need to respawn to like update your weapons, like with the attachment, you can like make the changes to the attachment on the go, which I liked a lot, primarily because it's like, you know, if you know that like you're in a spot that you need to have different setups, you don't have to be like, oh, well, let's kind of hope that I don't die because I'm looking down a sniper scope when in close quarters. You can like, you know, switch it out for iron sights or for, you know, a low zoom value like sight line or something of that sort. And I like that part about that. And then the class system itself, it kind of felt like it was really good because instead of having it based where it's like, oh yeah, you can only use assault rifles as a medic, or you can use only sniper rifles as, you know, as a support or like a recon, you had it where it's like, alright, you can choose your character, they'll have these sets of abilities, and then you can choose whatever particular package you want to use. It's like, if you want to use assault, you can. If you want to use, you know, support, you can. Recon, you can. Engineer. And the fact that you have that like whole customized like system compared to, you know, back in the olden times where it's like, all right, here's your class. These are types of weapons that you can use. Good luck. Have fun. If you want to change to a different weapon, go to a different class. And so like that part I liked a lot, as well as, you know, the basis of everything for it. Like the driving felt good, you know, the long range firefights felt really nice. I surprisingly enough, I did not have like any major bugs. I think the only bug that I had was that there was a moment, like one time, that my camera was actually stuck looking at one specific specific level, but I'm able to move my reticle like all around the screen. But it wasn't like too bad because like if it didn't hinder it as much as I thought it would. But then also all I had to do was just like off myself, and then it gets fixed. So it's like that was like the one main bug that I found during my time. But overall, I definitely enjoyed it, and I essentially did like pre-order the game like right after that. What about you?
Okay. So for the beta, I mean, when I was playing it, my experience with Battlefield is kind of like minimal compared to other people. I've like played it a little bit, and then they've really like played it a whole lot. I think most of that was just because I never really had people to play Battlefield with for the most part, or when I did, like people didn't really play it a whole lot. When it came to this beta, I kind of found it a little weird because the recoil patterns kind of seemed a little weird to me. I don't know if you had any problems with the recoil, but it felt like the recoil on some of the guns were a little weird for how little ammo they had.
You know, I think yeah, it's interesting that you actually brought that up because like for some of them I did feel a little off. And it's like I understood like what they're trying to go for. It's like, oh yeah, we have like different ammo types because like you can change, like if you can change the clip, you also can change to a particular ammo type. But
Yeah.
a lot of them just feel a little bit more exaggerated for no reason. And it's just like, all right, I understand that I'm shooting like a 5.56, but why am I looking up like 10 inches when I just fire a single shot. And then, again, like, once you, like, get control of the gun, it's just like, yeah, like, you're still looking up a little bit, but it's like, oh, it's more manageable now. Like, you have to, like, spray a little bit, and then it's just like, okay, you got it. And by the time you actually, like, are, like, aiming down and hitting those shots, you're already, like, at your last few bullets, and it's just like, okay. Like, when you brought that up, yeah, that is also something that I noticed. But for me, like, I normally, like, have been playing, like, with the DMRs and the sniper rifles. So I wasn't able to go into, like, the PDWs as much as I wanted to, or the carbines. But I did feel it with the M4, like, for the assault rifle, that it felt a little like random when it came to it, because it's like, all right, didn't realize it had that much of a pack, but okay, we'll just go, proceed as normal. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you look at it.
I think I'm just not a Battlefield player. Like, I enjoy the game, but I'm not the kind of person who could probably spend 8 hours a day on it.
I can understand.
I could probably, like, play that game for, like, a few matches and then call it. Meanwhile, I can go and play, like, Destiny or Halo and play that for hours.
I can get that.
I don't know, like, if that's just because I don't like how kind of... I don't know, it feels like it's just a little too much, because it's like, it doesn't feel like I have that much impact on anything. It feels like, oh, I go to one place and I'm, like, there, but, like, hey, there's 20 different people here and I'm the only one there, and
I think that's kind of, like, the one thing that I like about Battlefield is it's not like your impact as, like, a single person isn't such a huge motion, because the way that, within the system is that's like, yeah, you're, like, essentially like a grunt that, yeah, you can essentially, like, if you can defend a point, but if you get run over, like, if you get overwhelmed, there's not much to, like, to avoid. And so it does make it a lot harder for, like, if you are, like, a solo player to kind of, like, get into the groove of that, because I understand where it's like, you look at Destiny, you look at Halo, and you also, like, you look at COD, and all those games, there are points where there will be hero moments where essentially you can just say, alright, I'm the last one alive, I will take all of you on, and I'll be able to manage, like, there's a way that I can manage to be on top. And, like, that, I understand completely. Like, that is, like, a great, like, thrilling experience. And honestly, that's kind of, like, what majority of my games have been, is like, okay, you have a low TTK time, and you're able to just be like, okay, I will take out, like, all these people, know how to, like, strategize around the setup, like, to see how it is. I think in Halo it might be a little bit harder to pull that off, because, with, like, the shields and just the amount of stuff that can happen within there. And also because, like, it's been a while since I've actually, like, had put a lot of time into Halo, because I think, the last time that I put in, like, a significant amount into the multiplayer was, I think, Halo Reach, I think? Yeah, Halo Reach. And even then, like, a lot of the times it's been morely into, like, SWAT or just, like, party game type deal. And so, like, I wouldn't be able to kind of, like, relate that to the way that I feel about that. But it's like, you look at Destiny 2, it's like, they dropped the TTK from what it was originally when it launched to what it is now, and it's like, you have those hero moments. Like, you'll see, like, clips of just like, all right, you're the last person alive, and you can you can like control, as long as you know where all three are, you can take out each one of them and you win that trials like run. And so it's like, it's always that thing within there that is goes through, and it just is like, okay, that's great. But then, when it comes to Battlefield, I like the fact where it's like, it's not as a significance of like, you will, like, you do, there's points where it's like you have those epic moments, but in reality, like, in the midst of it, you're not like going to be relied for those hero moments. It's like, oh, if you get overrun, you're gonna get overrun. Like, it's a pleasant surprise if you don't, but you're not like, oh man, like this is a clutch or kick. It's not there. Like, there's not a huge reliance on that. It's like, well, you died. All right, we'll just go in like full force when everyone's up. And so I think that's why I enjoy Battlefield, because of that fact of, it's like, there's not a lot of hero moments in there that are expected. Like, if they happen, and it's just like a really thrilling moment. But a lot of it is if it's like essentially like a huge force going up against another force, and it's just like that entire like mist of the chaos. You have that. Where it's like, you can rely on like, like, as long as your team is able to kill like the guys, you are not going to be expected to kill every single one of them. You can see like your team's going to be taking some of the flak or some of the damage, so that, you are able to get through it. That's kind of like how, the way that I see that.
Yeah.
But, and also, like, compared to, I think it's, like, for me, it's refreshing, because, like I said before, majority of the games that I play have that low TTK, value, so it's like, well, this is just how it's gonna happen. And so just having that is like a nice breath of fresh air, where it's like, okay, I'm a significant infantryman who can pull shit off, but isn't expected to. Nice. But, like, with that, I think also it's just the fact of a lot of, and this could also go into just like the fact, like, every, what's the easiest way of saying it? I'm trying to remember the name. Oh yeah, like how the different betas can feel from like the actual like the resulting game from it. Because we can go back to like the Halo tech test that they had, or like the multiplayer beta that they had for the Insiders. I forget how far back it was. It was like a couple of weeks or a few weeks ago. I don't remember the specific time frame, because unfortunately I found out my computer is like crap in running that. Like, I'm not able to get like stable frames on that, which kind of sucks, and it hurts my soul inside. But it does kind of give like a good benchmark for that, because after we looked into it, it's just like, yeah, this is the thing. And looking into like it, like after we kind of like found out about like what they like expected like specs for it, both of like I was looking into computers right after it. And so I think I always like the fact that we have the opportunity to just kind of have those betas, but also it's, it also kind of like gives kind of like an expectation of like what will happen. I mean, remember when the first tech test came out and how weird it was, and we were just like, I don't know how to feel about this. And then, with everything else, it's just, it's good. I think, with how everything has been, it's just how it is.
Mm.
But I feel like moving away from the beta, like from the betas, kind of just based off of that, I kind of wanted to go into some kind of entertainment news, which, again, like because of the time frame of like when we are actually like recording this, like it's old news, but I kind of wanted to talk about it was the Twitch leaks that have happened a while back, and by a while I mean like what, last month or so.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what about them?
I it's just funny because I don't understand like how everyone's looking at one thing and like criticizing that one aspect when that's legitimately the one thing that every single streamer is just like, yeah, no, that's we all know that. Like, because a lot of people like on Twitter when those leaks came out saw the amount that certain streamers have made within like a span of 2 years, and then like essentially how much it was like for like a month or something of that sort. I forget like the different time frames for that.
Yeah.
And it's like people were just getting really annoyed, like angry and all that about like, wait, this person's making this much amount, and it's like, I don't understand why you guys are you're flipping shit over the fact that, oh, this is how much Twitch pays these streamers because those are huge streamers that people subscribe to, and not the fact that legitimately every other aspect of the website itself has essentially been just shown to the public. Because, and I think like a lot of like streamers and a lot of content creators kind of look at it, and it's just like, okay, I mean, like, great, we get to see how much these people made, but we kind of already had an idea because 90% of the big ones who stream and who are being paid a lot usually show their sub counts. And it's just like, that sub count is literally like part of that. And it's like, they show that off. They have those goals. Like, for example, Baru has, like, for a moment of time, he had a goal where it's like, oh yeah, let's hit 20,000 subs. And it's like, he actively shows that. And then I remember, back when's, like, was Summit, he would always have it right above his face cam. And then, you just like see, like, the number's always somewhere on the screen. Either it's in the top right, bottom right, or, in position X or position Y. And it's just like, people are getting mad over the fact that they make this amount of money because even though they show you that because of you guys supporting them, they're making that amount of money. And it just boggles my mind. It's just like, okay, y'all need to actually get your priorities in check. Because for me, like, I would be more concerned about everything else. Like, the payoffs thing, who cares? I mean, like, yeah, it may be a little bit demoralizing for, like, if you wanted to be, like, a full-time content creator on Twitch, because, you see, like people, like, only, I think, 1,000 people on Twitch are able to make more than the average income in the US just based off of streaming. And so, that's also kind of a thing of like, hey, diversify your production. If you want to do content creation, don't just rely solely on one channel. Go into like TikTok or go into like Twitter, YouTube.
I think people just kind of have a misunderstanding of how things work.
For me, it's just weird to when I see it. It's just like, because, like, again, like the Hassan Piker, who is like, one of the biggest content creators on Twitch, and like he like he gets like thousands of subs. Like I think he's like he literally has just like a 5-figure Twitch like sub count on a monthly basis. And you know, this guy rakes in a lot, and that's just again, that's based solely off of the subs. You know, he gets a shit ton of donations, shit ton of bits, and when he's just like, oh, it's like, you know, I just got this new house thanks to you guys. Everyone's just like, how the fuck do you have? I'm gonna get angry, even though I essentially helped you with that. Like, what? Like, there's no reason. Like, you helped them do that. That's like the easiest way of saying that. It's like, that's like you essentially buying the CD of an indie band, and when they go mainstream, you shit on them. Like, what? Like, you supported them for their success. Why are you shitting on them for getting to that point? Like, because for me, the way that I see it, it's like, if I see a small-time streamer, like, you know, have, like, you know, tens of thousands of viewers, I'm like, hell yeah, this guy fucking deserves it. That's the shit. That's what I want him to get. Not, oh, this guy's, like, you know, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, like, fucking relax with your hipster, like, bullshit, dude. Like, it's not necessary. Like, the only time where I would say that would be warranted is if, like, if they act like a completely different person, and it's just, like, it's, like, a more terrible experience. That would be the only time that I would be like, okay, I can understand your positioning. I still think you're a dick, but I can at least understand it a little bit. But it's like, if they're the same, you literally have no basis of getting, like, angry at them because you help them. If you hate that, don't support them. Oh, it's like, you supporting them is causing you to get angry at them, so take away the support, you won't have a reason to get angry at them. It's just, like, people are just, like, it's mind-boggling.
I mean, it's a combination of things, right? I think it's, like, people kind of, like, not understanding how this stuff really works, and then, like, also,
I mean,
kind of being unhappy with their own lives.
I mean, I'm not gonna deny the fact of, like, yeah, it could be, like, the way that, like, not understanding how, like, stuff works, because, you know, for, like, you and me, both of us, like, you know, we are affiliates, through Twitch, like, or have been affiliates with Twitch. I'm not sure, like, if you still maintain
You don't lose affiliate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, like, if there's, like, inactivity or something of that sort. But, you know, you have that essential, like...
There's inactive accounts on Twitch that have been inactive
for
2 years that still have affiliate.
Yeah, like, it's still the fact that, like, you have that, like, we have that understanding of how that works. Like every $5 that you spend, the streamer will get at least half, depending on the contract that they have signed. Normally, base, it's a 50-50 split down the middle. If you're big enough, they can change that, but again, the minimum amount that you can expect them to get out of your $5 is $2.50,
and that's before taxes.
That's before tax, yes. And, you know, depending on your location, because they have actually changed it where certain regions have different price ranges due to, like, the way that they have it set up. So it could be, like, you know, $5 here in the U.S. and then maybe $1.
So the reality is that, like, let's say someone pays like $50 of subs for gift subs.
Yeah.
Not only are you only getting 25 of that, but a portion of that 25 is going to get taken away by tax.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know, with how all the aspects are, that's just kind of like what it is.
And you can negotiate with Twitch once you're a partner, but you're not guaranteed to get something better. Yeah. I think people have this idea that you're guaranteed to get something better when you're a partner.
No.
When you're not. There are lots of partners that are still making only as much as the $250. As much as the half. I think a partner came out and talked about this, about how for years she tried to negotiate a better better split, but they just kind of
Sidelander.
didn't go for it for years.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like, it just depends on like, does Twitch deem you a valuable option for marketing? Like, are you
Which is weird because if you're a partner, you've hit that part for marketing already.
Well, see, here's the thing now. The one thing about it is that because of the way that like they have it set up is like if you're able to like create a following, it's one thing. Like, and you get partnership off of like if you're able to create that following. But when it comes to like actual negotiation, that's where your influence actually starts to matter. Because like for example, like there's a lot of like people that I know who are partners, but they only get like around 100 viewers a stream on average. I can guarantee you they're not going to be able to get anything close to like a price change or like a ratio change for a while. And then because again, like even though they're still partners, they don't have the marketability that, say, for example, Summit has, Lyric, Ninja. You know, even though, again, like he left for 2 years and came back, he still has marketability. It's just not at the size that people would think. But still the fact, like, they still have, like, significant higher, like, view counts than my friend who is still a partner, but only gets like 100 on average. And so it's the fact of like, do they have the impact to warrant that change? Like, do they have the following that will provide that? Because again, it's like, it depends on the way that it is. Like, if you like, I can guarantee you they'll be able to get more from Summit's followers than from, say, from Glad's followers. Even though they're pretty sizable within their communities, there's a better chance that someone can get a higher cut than Glad because he has a significantly higher marketability, a bigger platform base, a bigger influencer, I can't even think of the name, like a bigger influence within the market than Glad does. Now, I'm not discounting Glad at all. The guy is a very sizable person. Like, if I remember correctly, he is, I think, after Datto, he is the second biggest content creator for Destiny, if I remember correctly. It's either that or it's gigs.
I'm not quite sure.
I don't exactly remember, but normally it's like he's part of like the top 5 at worst, top 3 at best. Like it's in with that, within that aspect. And so you have that whole thing where it's like, depending on on the amount of influence that they have within their community is one thing, but as a whole, it's likely that's where those changes will come into play, where that negotiation power is on your side rather than on Twitch's side. And so that's kind of like the whole reasoning why, like, you see, like, there's not a lot of major Twitch Twitch sponsors, but you find out, like, oh yeah, they're still making like 50% of it because, again, the marketability and their influence on the actual like site itself isn't as big as they would want. So that's kind of like that whole thing. That's where it comes into play. But I don't know. It's just like the whole thing with like Twitch is like really weird because Twitch has been in like a lot of shit within the last few months. And it's ridiculous on the fact of like, holy shit, how is this all like culminating now?
It's because it's been building and building. When you let something build instead of like kind of like taking care of something, it eventually bursts. And because Twitch has let all this all of this stuff fucking build up, it's all hitting at the same time.
Yeah, because there was like the hate raids, all that stuff. I mean, the benefit of that though, on the positive note for the hate raids, is that they have actually, if I remember correctly, they have sued two users who were considered responsible for that. And I don't know if they're going to be facing criminal charges or what, but it's like the fact that like, you know, they were able to actually put in like, you know, a lawsuit against them does show that like, you know, they understand now.
That doesn't do anything though, because you're not stopping the botting by suing 2 out of like thousands of users.
Yeah, I know. That's like that's the issue. It's just like making some effort, but again, it's, you know, it's a drop in the bucket when it comes to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and also, you know, with like the leaks of essentially their entire like site setup and everything of that, who knows? It might get worse because if, you know, if they don't update that information, like if they don't update that shit, it can cause even like more problems in the future. Because again, with how everything is, we don't know if they're going to be like, yeah, let's just go around this part and just say fuck everything that Twitch has made, because now we kind of have the understanding and the source code behind it. But again, I think this is like, you know, something developing. Like, again, this is old news. Like the whole, like everything that we're talking about, like it's likely that there has been some updates that have just not been like publicly like noted, so to speak. Like, you know, maybe there's an article or two somewhere, but no one's really talking about it. So we'll have to just see on that. But I think with that, moving on to a more positive aspect. DC trailers. And I feel like you would have a better base for that than I do, because I found out that, you know, DC's event happened over the weekend. Like,
it started yesterday.
I mean, the fact that I didn't even know about it until like an hour before this is still a lot to say about that.
So DC, let's go ahead and start talking about the games that they released trailers for. Suicide Squad, I'm excited for. I really want to play it. But Gotham Knights, I am still not excited for.
Gotham Knights is the, if I remember correctly, it's like supposed to be the spiritual successor of Arkham Knight, right? Or something.
I'm not quite sure. Because, like, it kind of has a little bit to do with it, but also not really. Because Batgirl is in Gotham Knights. But Batgirl in Arkham Knight is Oracle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is... Yeah, no, that's...
So I'm assuming it has to be it follows a similar timeline to Arkham Knight, but if like Batgirl never became Oracle, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I saw, like, from looking at the trailers, I was always apprehensive about that, because essentially it's just like, it's great that they're bringing in, like, you know, Nightwing, Robin, all of them in, but it's still the fact of like, it doesn't, like, I was very apprehensive when it came to it. And, you know, with this kind of like bringing up some more information, you know, this might be something that I might avoid as well.
Now, I'm not necessarily avoiding it. It's just I'm not that excited for it. And I think part of it is just because I don't quite understand why we're doing a Court of Owls storyline and not having Batman be the central character.
Yeah, it's just weird. But the one thing is though is that even though it's like you may not be excited for that, we do have Suicide Squad, which
I've always wanted to play as like the villains in a video game, and we kind of get that with some games, but now we're going to get that with a Suicide Squad.
I think that's like the best part about it. Honestly, when was the last time that you were able to play as the villain? I don't even remember.
Technically, Saints Row is you're playing as villains.
I mean, also technically the Ubisoft's shit with Far Cry, because you play as the villains of like from 3 to 5, if I remember correctly. Like in a drug trip or some shit like that. I don't remember much about it. It was just like like I kind of like checked out of the whole Far Cry series after 5. And so it's like I'm not sure like what's the setup for that. I'm not sure if they like on like how many like what the whole premises of that whole villain bullshit is. But, you know, there is that, and I think the one that I can remember that you technically play the villain is Prototype, but that's a while back, and that's from my personal experience, so I don't know if that's like the one that you provided, that's much more recent.
For a moment there.
Was it?
My Discord crashed for a moment there.
Oof. Yeah, but yeah, when it came to
destroy all humans, technically, since you're playing as an alien.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Didn't they come out with like a sequel to that?
Well, they came out with a remaster.
Oh, remaster. That was it. Yeah. But I mean, in the end, you know, it's still the fact that, you know, those games are few and far between.
Check up the line count, even though that's technically a spoiler.
That is a very big spoiler, yes, but we're just gonna leave it at technically. Because, just saying, if you have not played that game, one of the most underrated games, in my opinion, in terms of story. It does not get the credit that it should. I love that storyline very much because of how they set it up and how it's portrayed. It's fucking great. But yeah, I mean, without really giving much away,
if Battlefront 2 didn't do the bullshit with its character, I would have said that. That would have been. I almost forgot about the Battlefront 2. That was like it had start out as a villain,
yeah.
But then it's like nope.
It's like moral compass, go that way. It's like wait, what? What? Okay, like cool, I guess. And technically, you could also say Halo 2. Because you do play as the Arbiter.
Yeah,
and
you do.
And at that time, they were part, like, the Covenant was considered the enemies, the villains. It's just that in his aspect, it was based off of something different.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the one thing is that the fact that we are getting somewhere where, like, the focal point is you're playing as the villains is just always a good refresher, you know?
Well, here's the thing, right? We're playing as Suicide Squad, and we're technically playing as, like, the villain characters, but we're not the villains of the story in this one.
Well, I mean, when you really look at
we're fighting against Brainiac, who's controlling Superman.
True. But, I mean, when you really look at it,
Dead by Daylight technically lets you play the villain.
Yeah. But I think the way that it is that we can't really say that we play as the villain, because normally in games you never play as a villain. The villain's always the antagonist, never the protagonist. So you're always seen as a hero regardless of the person that you play as. I think the
Not
best.
in Dead by Daylight. You're straight up the killer.
Well, yeah, but in the form of the killer's version, you are not the antagonist. You're the protagonist. It's just the way that the
In
focal
Dead by
point is.
Daylight?
Yeah, because
No, you're the one purposely going after them and killing them. They're trying to leave. The hell are you talking about? Have you played Dead by Daylight?
I have, but what I'm essentially stating I think in like multiplayer competitive stuff but it's just like the way I don't know. Okay, excluding Dead by Daylight because yeah, you really can't like rationalize that of like, oh, you play as a hero. No, you just never do.
Well, you can if you play as like the survivors.
The survivors, yeah, but
You're
even
playing
then,
as the killer.
I mean, technically, they could be considered heroes if you have that mindset. But again, I digress. But it's still the fact when there's a story-based situations, they always will frame the playable character as the hero.
I think Borderlands is a perfect example of a kind of gray area. Because
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't matter if you're framed as heroes or not. The reality is that like all the characters on the game are scumbag. Lilith's a scumbag.
A hot
Roland is an asshole.
one. A boring one.
All these characters are like we're literally playing Vault Hunter scumbags who literally are thieves and a bunch of other killers and other.
Yeah, but they have like.
But we're
unique
not
qualities.
good guys. We're not necessarily villains, but we're not good guys. Which is kind of why Borderlands 2 is such a perfect game because it's a bunch of bad people grouping up to fight another bad guy.
I mean, Borderlands 2 is just like, in my opinion, the pinnacle of Borderlands. And this is coming from someone who does not play Borderlands unless I'm in a group.
You know how disappointing Borderlands 3 for me was when, like, I was really excited for it because I was like, oh, you know, they're bringing back the writer from the first game, so it's going to be really cool because I really like the first game story. I really love Borderlands. I think Borderlands 2 story is better. I really like Borderlands 1 story, so, like, I'll probably like Borderlands 3 story, right?
Nope. Nope. Oh, I remember when we fucking slogged through that, trying to get through that.
It's just like it's so ridiculous. I don't know what happened. How did the person who wrote the first game create this?
It's. I mean, look. The one thing is that the easiest way that I know what is. I'm trying to like remember the saying that it goes is that you're going to get a lucky break. The only time that people will recognize your skill is if that lucky break happens consistently. That's essentially like the basis of it. And like for like example, it's like you have like, you know, you have great directors, but then they'll have like shitty films like at times. But because they were consistent for a lot of the films.
Unless you're M. Night Shyamalan, who produces only shit for like 2 decades.
Well, again, he is known for his lucky breaks, never for him being a good director.
I'm going to call him out on that because like people are like, oh, Split is such a lucky break. No, Split is literally using a fucking script that he wrote literally back when he was making good movies.
Yeah.
The only reason Split is good is because it was using an old as fuck script.
Again, lucky break, if anything. Because of the fact of the timing of like, oh yeah, instead of making something new, to use something old. And it just sucks when you just have like, when people are like known for their lucky breaks, but everything else is shit. Like, again, that's like with like a lot of one-hit wonders. Like, you know of certain artists just because of one fucking song, and that's it.
You know, speaking of like stuff like that, you know who's an actress who pisses me off because I know for a fact she's a good actress. but for some reason she chooses to call it in a lot of her movies, just because she's fucking unprofessional as fuck. Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence is.
She's an amazing actress. We know that she can act because we've seen it. But for some reason, she chooses to be unprofessional and fucking call it in like 60% of her movies nowadays. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is happening here?
See, the thing is that it's just like the way that like how people are is just, you know, it's weird because it's like you look at the different things that they've been a part of, like again with her movie, she's like what good movie has she been that wasn't The Hunger Games? Cuz I can't remember any other ones that she's been a part of that was considered good because of her. Which kind of sucks because again, she is a great actress. If anyone says otherwise, I don't know if they're watching the same person. But it's the fact of like outside of Hunger Games, there hasn't been anything that really shows how wonderful of an actress that is.
Well, I disagree about that. There's like she has a lot of films that like shows like how good of an actress she is. Like Silver Linings Playbook. There's also American Hustle.
I like the fact that it's the two movies that I haven't seen, and then I just also remembered that
I haven't seen the movie, but I know people said that she's really good in it. Mother.
I have that. This is the first time that I heard of Mother.
I haven't watched it. I know it's heavily kind of critiqued.
Why does I feel like why does that sound like a horror movie, Mother? Because it is. Okay. Yeah. All right. I just looked it up. Yeah, 2017 psychological horror film and biblical allegory. All right. Yeah,
I think I remember it was critiqued as not being good, and some people were like, "No, it's really good because of the message behind it." And I'm like, if a movie is only good because of the message behind it, and not because of like everything, it's a shit movie.
Yeah, no.
If the only thing good about it is the fact that it's an allegory, it's a shit movie.
See, the issue.
I have not seen Mother. I remember when this movie came out, people were praising Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem.
See, the thing...
I don't think Javier Bardem has done a single bad film in his life, but I would probably be wrong about that.
Yeah. See, it's funny that it's like you bring it up like for like the allegory and stuff. And I feel like... And today...
Another movie I know people love from her is Red Sparrow, and she is the lead actor in that.
I honestly forgot about Red Sparrow.
I know people love that film.
Like that.
I know people absolutely hated her in Dark Phoenix, which is her most recent film, The Come Hound. The last film she was in was Dark Phoenix, which came out in 2019. I think she has one coming out this year.
Yep. Don't Look Up. That is...
it comes out at the end of the year, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she's working on, like, 3 different films, besides that, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's such a good actress, but for some reason, she calls it in so many of her films, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening here?
It's likely that it could just be, like, the way, like, she was just not prepared for it. Because the way that I see it is that like there's a point where like, you know, where fame, regardless of if you start off on a good basis or not, like as much as we could, like, you know, she played like very well in X-Men, you know, as Mystique, and you
In the
have
beginning, she did, and then she started calling it in.
yeah, like again, like it's the fact of like she started off at that, but then when everything ramped up, when she was like well known, she was the highest paid actress in 2016, 2015. That gets to your head, like. And I'm not gonna say that. Like if that happened to me, I'm gonna be immune. It's likely I will become a self-centered jerk as well. Like that is likely gonna happen because money fucking influences minds very easily. That's why there's so many issues with that shit. But that's besides the point. The main thing is that because like we know that she's a good actress, and the thing is that everyone else like saw that, and so she thought like, oh, she's just gonna be a good actress, and so she, with the whole thing, that's just kind of how it is, and it goes through that aspect for it. Now it's funny that you actually mentioned about the fact of like a movie being like only like if it's only good because of the allegory of it. I feel like that and I feel like if, this is going to be considered like a fucking hot take, but I know a couple of other people, that also would agree, like within my personal friend group and this is kind of going towards Squid Game. I like, as much as I enjoy Squid Game, I do not believe that this is like the best show that everyone says it is.
So I'm going to explain what happened with Squid Game. So Squid Game is a good show. It is not as amazing as people make it out to be, but it is a good show. But the reason why it hit so high is because Netflix consistently puts out fucking garbage to the point when a good show comes out on Netflix, it gets out way too much hype.
I think. And do you know what the shittiest part is? Is there is one show that I know that Peanut agrees with me on this, and I don't know if you finished off the series.
Alice in Borderland?
Bingo.
I've watched 5 of the 8 episodes so far.
For me, I think that is a much better movie. Not movie. Show. Why am I saying movie? Show.
I think it depends. I think it depends because they're both going for different kind of death game.
Well, I think. Well, it's not only just the fact of like the death game itself. Like each of the aspects of the death games is very unique, and for both of them, I like them. I like the what's it called? The fact of Alice in the Borderlands more because in Squid Game they bring up the fact of like, oh, everyone has equal footing, but they bring this up so late in the actual episodes. Like you see nothing of this until after that specific point. And
what do you mean?
Well, because when it does come to like the whole like aspect of it, it's all based around kids games, and they go through it all, and if you don't succeed, you're eliminated. But like I don't, because they bring up like an aspect of it like as kind of like a small little like side thing in regards to one of the characters, like the doctor, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, they bring that up, and then, again, not to really, like, spoil anything, because even though, like, the show's been out for a while, I'm not gonna, like, because it still has come out, within the last month, actually, as of today.
Okay, I know what you're talking about the whole fair thing, but they from the beginning of the show, they make it clear that everyone's on a fair footing.
Yeah, but I feel like the thing is that they just don't, like, they don't display of like the penalties of it until that point. Like you see them, like there's
Yeah,
like,
because you don't need to show a penalty. It can be assumed based off of what happens in the first game, what the punishment will be.
I mean, granted, yes, but
You know, I think you're. I think I'm going to disagree heavily here because this is an example of where not everything needs to be shown so early on, and something can be shown later on.
yeah, I don't know. It just feels kind of like because again, like a lot of the stuff that they did show.
There's only one storyline that I really didn't like because it went nowhere, and it was the detective.
That.
Have you watched all of it?
Yeah, that fucking pissed me off so much.
It went nowhere,
It
and that bothered me.
legitimately did not need to happen, and it pisses me off because that would have been.
I thought it was going to lead somewhere.
Same.
And then nothing came of it.
Yeah, and I hate that. I hate it so much because it's like you have this whole setup, and it's like, oh, shit's gonna go down, but guess what? Nothing happens.
I think a lot of the problems with the show comes with the fact that it's only by a single writer.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's like it would be at the fault of like a single writer, because
I mean the man literally drove himself into insanity writing it.
I mean,
the guy even admitted that he fucking was unhealthy because of it.
I mean, he also did direct it too. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that with how everything is, he would lose his marbles.
I think the other problem is that like a lot of it was it felt like everything was building up to episode 6, and then once episode 6 happened, it kind of like dropped down. Like, not that it became bad, because it was still good. It's just episode 6 was the de facto best episode.
Oh, 100%. Like just the whole thing for that. Like, you got so much like everyone was showing.
And I think part of it was because when we got to the VIPs, I was expecting some kind of like crazy twist, and then it turned out to be some stereotypical nonsense with really bad acting.
Yeah. I honestly, if they brought up the VIPs at a later, like at the last episode, if anything, and they actually like made it more interesting, I would have been like, okay, cool. But then again, just like with the detective storyline, the VIPs literally were there just to further that, and that went nowhere. So it's like I think the issue is that when it does come to it, there are so many different storylines in like that you can see in this, and then there's ones that you really wish went through further, like the detective one, that just didn't, and it's just like, well, this kind of sucks because, well, we can't do shit about it. The way that they wrapped it up was not like, I'm not gonna have any issues with that. Like, if they do, because I think they already announced that they're doing a second season from the news, I think.
No. The writer, the guy says that like he didn't have any plans for season 2. Okay. But if he were to do a season 2, he would want to go more into the past about the VIPs and the frontman and a few other things, more in the past. And that he would want to get an actual team of writers this time.
I honestly, I
imagine that considering the show has done as good as it is, that Netflix will probably give him what he wants.
I mean, people are like, it's considered to be worth $900 million. And this is off of a budget of 21.4.
Yeah.
They had more than, let me do the quick math, 4,000%
I mean, what, for like a few weeks, it was the #1 show on Netflix, wasn't it?
Few
Until,
weeks, it's still number one.
no. A new show on Netflix, like, or new season of a show on Netflix
Oh,
dethroned it.
you, yeah, you.
Yeah.
But like before that, like gained traction. But yeah, no, you like.
It's still so high up. It's #2 right now.
I wouldn't be surprised if it stays there for a while.
Like, the fact is that, like, Squid Game beat out so many different shows and became so popular on Netflix that if they don't give the writer and director what he wants, I will be surprised. Because, like, this is the guy that got them a gold mine, essentially.
Yeah, honestly, it's ridiculous the amount of what's it called that you like that they are getting from it. Like it's insane. But again, I still think like if anything, if you watch and enjoyed Squid Game, Alice in the Borderlands is definitely 100% must watch.
It's a cool show. I just kind of wish there was more build up to episode 3.
I know, like there are like
I feel like episode 3 is really good, don't get me wrong. But I feel like it didn't have as much build up as it should have.
I mean, there's some aspects that I can like critique for it. Like I'm not gonna deny that, but it's still the fact of
Peanut was going on about how episode 3 is a better episode than Gambu, and I kind of don't agree. I feel like if it had more build up, it would be. But because Ganbu has 5 episodes before it to build up to it, and then Alice in Borderland only has 2 episodes before it to build up to it.
yeah. I mean, if we look at it just like said as individual episodes, I would say episode 3 is better than episode.
Individually, if we look at
Individually.
them, they are better. But when you consider it in the grand scheme of the show, it's not.
Yeah, no. Like honestly, the one thing is that I feel like they could have easily set it up to be more like impactful, but it's still like I'm not gonna say like oh it's not impactful. It's still fucking heart wrenching to watch that because like holy like it's just like with Gambu. Episode 3 was just like like fuck like I cared like granted there was 2 episodes before but it's the fact of like within those 2 episodes you saw like how they essentially like stuck together and like you felt like these guys are gonna go through this the whole way and then episode 3 happens and you're like oh fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like there was supposed to be something like more episodes between episode 2 and 3 because of the fact that the girl was making the moves on Jota.
I mean,
and that kind of just ended up not meaning anything. And I was like, oh wow, a plot thread that went nowhere and had no actual point.
Yeah, but I mean, like the way that I saw it, it really didn't mean much in the grand like in the entire thing. I feel like that going nowhere does not have the same impact as
I get that, but I was waiting to see it like pay off and have it backfire on her.
I mean,
and then it didn't really do much.
I wouldn't say that it didn't go anywhere. It just didn't go anywhere as impactful as you would hope it would. Because technically it did backfire, just not in the way that was like dramatic or what we were kind of expecting. It was just kind of like oh. Because again, it's a very short time span between that. So the fact that didn't go anywhere, like I'm not like I wasn't like it sucked, but I didn't really see it as a huge like aspect of it. Unlike the detective story. Like, that one was just, like, the biggest, like, oh, wow, really? We're doing this? You give me this entire intense, like investigation, and then here we are. And also, just the fact that essentially, like, the police in there, as much as it does sound like a very strange scenario and situation, you should at least have somebody look into it. Not just, oh yeah, let's just go to this number and see what we get. Because even though, again, it is the weirdest fucking situation. Like, if someone told me, like, that was happening to them, I would say, alright, that's weird. But because you said that people died, that might have some cause of concern. You know, like that for me was
debatable.
Just, I mean, the thing is like, logically,
I think that the reality is you're talking about Korean police.
That's true.
Who in the show it's made very clear that the Korean police are very slow to gather, even when it's a serious issue.
I mean, granted, they kind of boldface just said it too.
Yeah. I think the other problem is just the fact that, like, if you put that into perspective, and then look at the fact that, they probably think that Gion is drunk or has some kind of, like, mental disorder. They're probably like, not going to take it serious whatsoever.
True. But you said you're on episode 5, right? Of
I just finished episode 5.
Just finished. Okay. All right. So you haven't gotten to, like, the later aspects of it, but I feel like the thing is that you're, like, they do a pretty good way of like going through the next episodes. So I'll say that, like, it does get very interesting. But I just like with Squid Game, I really hope that they do have a second season for Alice in the Borderlands.
I hope so.
Because it's still, if I remember correctly, Alice in the Borderlands did hit #1 for a bit. I just forget, like, for how long. It wasn't as long as Squid Game, but it wasn't, like, super short either. I think it was, like, maybe 2 weeks or so. Because I remember Peanut talking about it, like, a while back, and then I got into it after he brought it up, because I was like, oh shit, yo, what? Let's go. And I'll be like, I watched it during my flight to California, and fucking loved it. But the way they set up, like, the final episode makes me just want to be like, come on, please, just I want another one. Don't no game, no life me. Alright, that's all I ask. But
how long has it been since season 1 came out?
Less than a year. It's been 10 months at this point. Because Alice in the Borderlands came out December 20th, 2020.
And has any news came out about season 2, or?
I haven't seen anything about it, which is kind of like why I'm like, I really hope something's happening. Wait, hold on. Excuse you? I just looked this up, and oh, there's a possibility of a season 2. But they have Season 2 is happening. Film began back in July. Set of tentative December 2021. Oh. So I'm very happy about that. Because I didn't realize, like, that they were making one. I looked into it a little bit, but I didn't see anything. But the reports that, like, the news that I just saw was from a week ago. And I'm very happy about that. Now, granted, if you actually, like, read the source material, you're gonna be kind of disappointed by watching the live action. But that's just kind of how it is when it comes to it. Like, the source material is always, like, it has much, like, a much better, like, preface for it, because, again, it is based off of a manga series, and mangas normally have, like, more time and more development within there, and likely, the time frame for that. And, that's just kind of how it is when it comes to that. But overall, if you just watch it as the show as it is, it's really good. So if you like Squid Game, if you love Squid Game, Alice in the Borderland is a good recommendation for that, for the next show to pass the time, especially since, there is a season 2 in the works, which I'm wondering if, like, how they have this set up. Maybe they may have it as a 2-season thing. That would be interesting. But yeah, Alice in the Borderland was a good one. What was the other show? There was another show that I watched from Netflix that I recommend. Oh, crap. I forget what it's called, but I remember watching it, like, a while back. Well. And, speaking of, like, Netflix, there is now a very, very low, like, there's not many reasons on why you would ever want to buy cable anymore, when you really look at it. Because not only with, like, Netflix bringing out, like, original shows, and then you have, Amazon bringing out original movies, like the Tomorrow War. A lot of the shows, like, that are based on, through Primetime have gone downhill. Like, Pina and I watch The Blacklist, which, if you haven't seen or heard of The Blacklist,
I know what it is. I remember I watched the first season when it was airing. When the first season was airing, I watched it all. I never watched past that.
It gets really good. Like, it follows, like, the same kind of aspect of it, which is really good. And for anyone who's watching this and has not seen The Blacklist does have 8 seasons as of right now on Netflix, and you can binge through all of it. The basis of it is that there is an FBI's most wanted decides to turn himself in, and provides essentially a list of criminals that, like, no one has heard of. Like, not Interpol, not any secret, like, government agency, not even the FBI or CIA. And essentially, it's like, those people will, like, they control a lot of the dark shit that goes down. And so, essentially, it's, you follow this group through capturing these individuals, and you see, like, what the impacts are, like, what is the motivation, and you kind of go into more details for that. And, again, it is a great show. It is a wonderful premise, because it is very intense when it comes to it. But then, seeing the reactions from Peanut is like, maybe...
I heard the most recent season is pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm also hearing that too, and I'm just like, I don't want that. Oh, it sucks too because like it's such a good show. And
I
then
think that's kind of what happens if a show goes on for too long.
I mean, if anything, I think the only thing that I would do, like if I ever made a show, 3 seasons. That's all it's gonna be. It's just gonna be 3 seasons, 3 different arcs that link up to each other. That's it. Because I don't think you really need more than that. You know? Like at that point it just kind of is like, alright, let's get really repetitive for no reason for like anything more than that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, a lot of the times, like, depending on like the series itself, it can get really repetitive very quickly. Like Burn Notice. That was a show that I enjoyed a while back. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix or if like USA like didn't renew the deal or whatever. But that was a good show for a good bit, and then like the last season was just kind of like because it was just like the way that they have it set up was just really like, I don't know, I would say kind of loose compared to what they had beforehand. And the whole like overarching premise was just dull compared to the previous ones, so like that's my whole thing with that. And so that's just, again, like that's how I saw it. Again, a good show, would recommend that. Just don't be surprised if the last season's kind of lackluster compared to like the rest of it. And yeah, I feel like eventually, like one of these days, we're just gonna have like a part where it's like, all right, what do you want to recommend now? Actually, speaking of recommendations, if you have not seen the Demon Slayer, or if you have seen Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train arc is ongoing right now. Now, again, if you've watched the movie, a lot of it is essentially just repeating that entire movie, just broken up into 7, I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes. But the first episode, I would 100% you recommend to watch because that is original. That has not been shown before. And so that is I would say is something that you would want to actually watch. But outside of that, if you've seen the movie, it's not like you're not gonna miss out on anything for the first, I think it's 7 episodes, right? Yeah, 7. Like from the second episode all the way to the 7th, it's just gonna be stuff from the movie. There's gonna be like additional scenes involved, but the premise is still the same. If you haven't seen the movie, don't worry, you don't have to watch it. It's being shown off. And also, it, again, like I said before, there is going to be like additional scenes within the episodic version rather than the movie itself. But if you want to see the whole movie, that's also a really good option. Again, up to you for that. But overall, it like talking about the train arc, I'm glad. Like, I feel like it deserves being the highest grossing animated movie, like within the Eastern market.
Yeah.
Because it's like the visuals for Demon Slayer has always been on point. Like, props to UFO Table for it. Like, I know people have like issues. Like, there's particular people where it's like they're like animated purists, and if they see like any aspect of CG, it's just like ew. But even if you like notice the CG, it's very minor, and also it really doesn't interfere that much with
I think
anything
it just
else.
depends on the CG, right?
Yeah, no,
Because
100%. Yeah.
you look at a Land of the Lustrous. Land of the Lustrous is pure CG, and it is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's just the fact of like when CG is used and how and what the impact of it is. Like like for example, in the final season of Attack on Titan, part 1, because part 2 is coming out either in the winter or the spring of next year. I don't know the exact date. I don't think they actually provided that. But like in the beginning, like in the in the first few seasons, you see they animate every single Titan fight. You see them animate every single thing. But then when you get into the first episode of Attack on Titan for the final season, they CG the Titan. And it just feels weird. Because we because of that prior knowledge of like, yeah, we know that you can like animate this, like you can draw this out.
Okay, starting on January 10th, 2022.
Okay.
The final season part 2.
Okay, yeah. So it was like I had a feeling it was like in the winter or spring, but I knew it was coming out like sometime next year. But it's still the fact of like you have.
Let's go ahead and actually talk about the CGI. CGI exists in Attack on Titan final season part 1 for a reason. And that reason is because the company that they were hired by to do it did not give them anywhere near enough time to do the animation.
Oh, for real? Shit. No, that's so bad. That just hurts. Because it's like
Nappa, who is known for their wonderful animation, was not given the proper amount of time, and so they had to cut corners via CGI. And that is most likely the case with Final Season Part 2 as well.
that hurts too. Like honestly, I think like I hate the fact when people like have such a demand for like specific like time frames. Like I understand it's to optimize on
Here's what happened. The company that was hiring for Attack on Titan
Mhm.
decided that if someone did not take the position, they were just not going to do the final season. And so they gave a timetable, a very short timetable for a company to accept.
You're fucking joking.
And the only company that was willing to accept it was Mappa.
Mm.
And then after being that there was 2 timetables. The first one was you have a shorter amount of time to actually accept this job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the final season just isn't happening. And so Mappa took it. The second one was the fact that they were given nowhere near enough time to animate the season correctly.
It hurts too because
Which is why you see a lot of CGI in the final season.
I hate the fact that like that there's the amount of CGI. Like there's some aspects that I can be like, okay, fine, that makes sense. Like for the armored trains, if you have that CGI, am I going to be saddened by that? Yeah. Is it understandable though? Yeah. Because I think the one thing is that when it comes to like mechanical like engines, mechanical parts, when it comes to it, if you CGI that, that's fine because again, it's mechanical. Unless like the whole basis of it, the like each of like the cars had like its own personality, like the cat bus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't waste time on something that's literally just there as just a vehicle, you know? And like when people like animate that's like props to them. I wouldn't I don't have that expectation for that. And I think one thing is, and this is actually also kind of leaning into like CG when it comes to vehicles itself. I feel like CG when it comes to vehicles is better than animation. Now, I'm not saying that people who can animate like, vehicles are bad. No, like again, there's been action set pieces fully animated that had vehicles in it that are wonderful, and I'm not going to disregard those at all. It's just the ones that I remember have always been based around CG. And it's understandable too. Because a lot of the times when it has to do with something like a train, for example, in the train arc of Demon Slayer, that's what it is. It's a vehicle. There isn't there isn't anything that's perceived to be there. Like, there's no expression, there's nothing there specifically for it to be warranted as something that would need to be animated. Now, again, that's if it's like, any expression. There's some shows that have it where the vehicles have the expression for that. But a lot of the times, those expression do come in with the fact that their range of motion is so aggressive compared to normally what like vehicles are animated like normally.
Yeah.
Great example, 86. If you have not seen it, the first season has already come out. It is very good. And the second season is coming out right now. And essentially, quick synopsis of it is that you are following essentially a group of child soldiers who are fighting off a mechanical army using mechanical droids that are essentially spider bots. Like, it's amazing. Like the action set pieces that they have in it is really good. The other aspects of it, like, the drama behind everything is well performed, and also like it's very well developed. Like, you care for each of every single person in that. Like, it's not like one person is just left alone. It's you give a shit about them, and it makes it worse. Like, the easiest way to go into this is that expect very good like action scenes, but have a box of tissues. Because it is very, very like dramatic. And I'm not saying like, everything is like over the top. It's just the fact of like it evokes so much emotion when it comes to it. But like, for example, the most recent episode that came out yesterday for part 2, I had goosebumps and also my eyes watered within the span of 20 minutes. There's very few shows that I can remember that were that short that had that range of emotions come from it. So definitely, if it is something that like you want to see a good animated show, 86 is really good. What other shows actually do I know that are really good that are coming out now? Actually, thinking about it, a lot of the shows that have come out that I'm interested in have been isekais, which is this, reincarnation stories, and slice of lives. I know there's a couple of shows that like I need to watch eventually. Like right now.
Yeah, dude. I need the second season of Yojo Senki to be out already.
Yes. Well, I mean, technically, they had
that's
like
so far off, though.
I know. I mean, they technically did have like a small little like aspect.
They had a movie. They had the season 1 in the movie.
Yeah. That was it.
Mary Sue.
I still find it like I always find it interesting when people are like, "Dude, that's like that show is not that good." It's like, I mean, you
I
might not have
disagree.
thought
I
it
think
was
it's
good.
really good.
Yeah, no, like same here. I thought it was a very good show.
I think the reason why people don't think it's good is because they don't like the fact that the main character is willing to do stuff that they don't like.
I mean, the main character is essentially like the anti-hero that is never portrayed. And I think, again, I think that's a very good aspect that...
I think one of my favorite moments in the show was when she was telling her soldiers to, like, like kill the people or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. And the soldier didn't want to do it, but she told him that all the blame would lie with her and not with them.
Yeah, like she was like she had like she will force them to do what it is, but it's like she knows that it's like her actions and like will show that it's like I understand the implications of this. This is not going to be going towards you. This I am telling you to do this. You are not doing this on your own volition. And I think that's like again like that's something that it's like she is twisted as fuck. But at least she has the integrity to state like, yes, I know what I'm telling you to do.
I think that moment really like shows you what kind of person she is.
I mean, I feel like that's the one that's always the one thing is that when you have those types of characters, and I think, and this is why I always like for me, I always hate one-dimensional characters. I fucking hate them. For every part of my being, because one-dimensional characters, regardless of their impact on the story, should not be given the time of day, like at all, unless it's like a brief comic relief.
I think it depends, because Toph is a one-dimensional character. A lot of people forget this, but Toph Beifong is a one-dimensional character. She has no arc. She doesn't evolve over the series. She starts the same and ends the same.
Well, I think the thing is, though, is that I think there was a reason for that. Because the one aspect...
Which is why I say that, like, one-dimensional characters can work. It's just you have to know how to do them right.
That's very true. I think, honestly...
The only one-dimensional character I can think of that does it right is Toph.
Yeah,
There's probably other characters out there, but Toph is really the only one I can think of.
I mean, the thing is I legitimately never thought of that. I never thought of Toph as a one-dimensional character until you brought it up.
Because she starts the same and ends the same. The only thing that really changes is her ability to, like, bend metal.
And the thing is like, her being one-dimensional is legitimately the entire reason why she evolved. Is because, just like what King Boomy said, Aang's best master is the one who literally acts like a fucking rock.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And like even Legend of Korra, it's like, yeah, no, she stays the same. She stays the same. She's like, I ain't doing this shit for you. You fucking do it yourself.
Yeah.
You're the Avatar. You should know. I love that, and I love that aspect about her. I think the one, like, what is it? I mean, granted, like, I know there's a couple other one-dimensional characters, but a lot of the times they're there just because, like, oh, we know you're gonna hate them. That's why we have them there.
Yeah.
Like, I think Fire Lord Ozai is another one-dimensional character, and the entire reason that he's one-dimensional is so you do hate him. And so when it gets to that point, it is satisfying to see that, you know? And I think that is a very, like, again, that's another aspect of a one-dimensional character actually being used properly. Because, again, he doesn't show up that often. He does not. He only shows up in the last book. Even though he's talked about throughout the entire series. He's only brought up physically in the last book.
Yeah.
And it's like, it says a lot when it's like, and I think that's also something that, you know, is a good aspect of that, is because you see that they are a one-dimensional character, but because that they have been kind of talked up to this point, you expect them to be one-dimensional. And I still always enjoy the fact that we're just always going back to Avatar: The Last Airbender, because regardless of anyone else saying anything else, that is one of the best animated shows of all time. There's very few that I can ever hold at a higher regard. From both the Western and Eastern markets.
Steven Universe could have been up there if it wasn't for the amount of filler in there, and because of what happened with its last season. Fuck Cartoon Network.
See, the thing, so the funniest
You know
part
what
is...
pisses me out? You know what happened with its final season? Or with season 5, I mean?
What happened?
Is when I refer to its final season, I mean, like, season 5, because it still had, like, the Steven Universe Future movie and series after that.
Yeah.
Steven Universe season 5 got fucked over because the showrunner, Rebecca Sugar, wanted to do a wedding episode and kiss between Ruby and Sapphire. Now, unfortunately, the trade-off for that was that the show got canceled.
Oof.
The trade-off for doing a wedding was that they would end the show with season 5.
That sucks.
Because Cartoon Network couldn't fucking handle it. And so they get to season 5, they do the wedding episode, and then they have to do the rest of season 5, and they're forced to do a season finale that will tie up all the loose ends regarding the Diamonds, who are the biggest threat ever, who have literally fucking dominated the universe, who have destroyed planets, destroyed multiple species, committed genocide across several different planets. And hey, yeah, by the way, after this 3-episode arc, we're now best friends with the Diamonds. The shitty ending that was forcefully written because Rebecca Sugar was not allowed to end the show the way he wanted to. And then Steven Universe, the movie, happened, which is a much better storyline and is the best piece of content in the entire fucking series. And then the Steven Universe Future miniseries happened, which was a much better ending.
Oh, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. See, the one thing is that I understand that there's certain aspects that need to be controlled, but don't stop a story. Don't.
It's happening with Disney too. With Owl House. So Owl House has these two main characters, Luz and Amity, who are respectfully bi and gay.
Like, is it obvious, or like did they actually spell it out?
They're dating in season 2.
Okay, so they did spell it out. Good. I'm glad that.
I mean, it's spelled out pretty clear because in season 1, Amity acts very gay around Luz.
I mean, kind of stereotypical, but hey, at least
To the point where she's like, Luz asks her to play a sport, and then she's like, "What? Us running? Red? Sweaty?" And I'm like, "There's no fucking heterosexual explanation for this reaction of hers."
It's like that bitch played for the other team. It's just that's just how it goes. It's like, yeah, honey, nah, you ain't playing. It's like,
and then it's just like and then as in the middle of writing season 2, they were told that they would only have season 2 and then three essentially 1 hour length episodes for season 3 to wrap everything up.
what the fuck? That's so stupid.
Yep. This was made by one single higher up who apparently did not like the way the show was going. Now that could imply a lot of different things. And I know that the showrunner said that the words that she was given was that this show does not fit what Disney's image is.
I fucking knew it. I hate when fucking shit like that happens. I hate it when that happens. Like, if I were to fucking create something, as long as it's not promoting fucking hate shit or inciting like aggressive like stuff like hate speech and all that stuff, and like the way that I see it is if it's not causing anyone harm, like it's not inciting riots, it's not inciting like acts of terror or like horrible like atrocities, you should not fucking interfere with a writer's mindset. You never do. Because the one thing is, and I think that is something that will always piss me off, is when a show gets really good, but because one dumbass is like, oh, it doesn't fit our image. Like, dude, who cares? Oh, it doesn't fit the image. So what? Like, sure, you may get some backlash down the line. But if your show is successful, I think you can ignore that, you know? Primarily because of the history, like, and I'm just saying specifically for Disney too, especially because of the history that a certain somebody had with their preferences. If you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like you can't, like, you really want to pull that fucking card when legitimately it is a very well-known fact that the person that based the fucking company was not kind to certain people. Yeah. Like, that's my whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it doesn't fit our image. Like, buddy, you fucking changed your image so many times. It doesn't matter. Like, I hate when people are like that, where it's like, oh, it doesn't fit this image. Then why'd you sign up for it? Why did you employ this?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Disney is kind of having this weird restructuring thing that we're going to start seeing the impact of at some point, because it's going to... Kevin Feige now has to answer to 6 different people.
that's fucking stupid. I hate
and all the directors have to report to like 6 different people as well.
How much do I want to bet the median age difference of that is like in their 60s?
Probably, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's like they all have. There's so many more people there's so many layers that they have to go through now that it's like, oh my fucking god. And here's the way it's set up is that it's not if majority agrees. It's if even a single person disagrees or dislikes it, back to the drawing board. Doesn't matter.
On like that pisses me off so much. It really does. I hate when like essentially board members like when like I think this is I feel like has so many different factors involved in this. I'm just generalizing, so don't fucking like, you know, pitchfork and torches the goddamn place over my words. But, you know, the fact that essentially a public company is making decisions because, oh, they need to satisfy their stockholders or their shareholders is fucking ridiculous and stupid. Like to give an idea, um, let's look at Cyberpunk 2077 as a prime example on why if you actually follow the board of directors' desires, then the actual people developing the game, that's gonna cause serious backlash. That is a prime example. Because they fucking forced it to come out on December 17th, 2020. And it came out in the worst state possible. 30, like, what was it? Like, they pre-ordered 13 million copies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And like a significant amount of them were refunded within the first 24 hours of the actual launch. And then not only that, CD Projekt Red got into a lawsuit. Their stock prices dropped 2/3 of their original value. Why? Because they wanted to hit the Christmas shelves of 2020. For some fucking reason. They thought, yeah, no, we're still going to force you to get this done by this point. We don't care how long this is going to take.
Yeah,
This needs to be done now. And again, like, I still will always vehemently, like, you know, support the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 is a great game if it was not fucking rushed. Because the story elements of that is really fucking good. The world building aspect.
Isn't it missing a lot of, like, don't quote me on this because I'm just going off of what I've heard. Isn't it missing a lot of features gameplay wise and world wise that was
Yup. And the thing is that even with those removed, this is still really fucking good. I will still recommend this if it wasn't a buggy piece of shit.
Crazy how they're hiring for people to make a DLC when they haven't even fucking finished fixing their game.
Here's the thing. They have fucking... So, do you know how there was supposed to be a multiplayer aspect of it? And two free DLCs?
I know. I remember that.
Those have indefinitely been postponed. There's legit no, like, expected time frame for those at all now.
Oh.
Yeah. It is that bad. And it fucking annoys me. Because what we received, what we had, was so good. But because it was marred by so many bugs, so many cuts, so much shit, that, like, if it wasn't for the fact that they spent 8 years on it, Cyberpunk 2077 would have been the next anthem.
I don't think they actually spent 8 years on it, though.
Well, I mean, it was still the fact that the idea itself existed for that long. Whether or not they used that full 8 years, I'm not gonna like say that yes, they did. It's likely that what they had was a concept that they had but never worked on it until after Witcher 3. Or, like, you know, they didn't put, like, the full front of the force onto it until after Witcher 3. So, again, I don't know how they had it structured out. Because, again, it could be like what they have right now with Bungie, where half the team isn't even working on Destiny 2. They're working on a completely different game. And so, like, again, however the situation was, it's still the fact that, like, you know, with the amount of time that they had, and the fact that we got what we got, is still really good. Like, I mean, again, if it wasn't for the bugs, if it wasn't for that, I would vehemently recommend it regardless of the $60 price point. But because of those bugs, I'm holding off on actually doing like a recommend it for $60. Recommend it when it goes on sale. And it's just like
Yeah.
It hurts. It really hurts. And that's, and it sucks too, because I'm coming from somebody who is, like, who literally is, hopes that that what a company performs, how they perform, affects my bottom line too. Like, I am an active investor in a couple of game companies, where it's like, all right, these games better do well, or I'm losing money.
Everyone who fucking invested into fucking CD Projekt Red, oh, they must have felt the burn.
I see. The thing is that I got, like, the good thing was CD Projekt Red was not available for me to actually invest in.
Otherwise, you would have.
I would have, yes. I would have 100% done that. Because the thing is I invested in Activision before Modern Warfare came out, and I made a fucking killing off of that. I would have done the same fucking thing with CD Projekt Red, but I was like, ah, shit, I can't do that. Oh no. And I'm just like, I look back, I'm like, thank fucking Christ.
Yeah.
But again, it's always retrospect. I mean, like, look, I would have made a killing. I made a killing off of Activision if you bought it at the time that what's it called, that I, like, made the killing off of till now. You would have lost a lot of money because of the lawsuits. So it's like, again, it always has to do with the actual, like, system altogether. So it's always that causes the issues, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, if everything goes well, I really do hope that they get the actual, like, thing taken care of, and it does come out well. Because I do want to see CD Projekt Red succeed. Like, I pre-ordered that game, and again, I'm not saying that, oh, it's a good idea to do that. No, do not do that. Please, do not. But in this case, like, I knew I was gonna get my money, like, I was gonna play the shit out of this. And I did. I spent over 100 hours in that game. More than what, like, not only with, like, entertainment-wise, but also with, you know, time consumption versus value, like the whole dollar per hour type deal. It's passed on both levels for me. So, again, if it wasn't for the bugs, if it wasn't, like, in a shit state right now, I would 100%, like, recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that I can't. Like, it's terrible that I can't. I think on that depressing note, on the fact that, you know, talking about how board members essentially will screw over a potential, like, the company's profits because short term, I think that's a good place to end it.
There's actually one thing I kind of want to, like, end this off on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious about what your opinion on it is. What do you think about Best Buy's Total Tech membership thing?
Hold on, let me actually look that up because I never heard of it. So I'm gonna.
So Best Buy is offering a new membership called Total Tech. It's a $200 a year membership.
I'm sorry, what?
So $200 a year membership.
Like, do you get free
where
stuff?
you get here are some of the perks. You get free Geek Squad tech support 24/7. You get up to 24 months of product protection with an active membership. Free delivery and standard installation. VIP access to phone and chat teams. Access to exclusive Total Tech member prices. Free 2-day shipping. Extended 60-day return and exchange windows. everyday savings on repairs, advanced services, is more, as well as a new service that they're going to offer that happens every Monday, where every Monday they have sales for members.
All right.
And here is one of the things that has. Here is the part that has everyone so pissed off, though. Total Tech members will get exclusive and early access to hard to find products this holiday.
Best
Now,
Buy really
we don't know exactly what that necessarily means, but considering that there's only very specific things that we can assume it to be, we have to assume that it means the PS5, the Xbox Series X, PC parts.
Oh, yes. No, 100%. The fact that fucking Best Buy is doing this shit is exactly for that. It's 100% for that. And how much you want to fucking bet that even with this in place, no one's going to get that? Because you know why? Scalper bots can buy these cards and sell them at a $600 markup per card. You just get one card, guess what? You paid for 1.5 years of Total Tech. That shit's fucking useless. This is a fucking waste of time. And the fact that Best Buy thinks this is a good idea is fucking bullshit.
Now, I assume this also includes like any like technology like iPhones and stuff that may be hard to find.
Again, this is still stupid. This is
now,
still
we
really
have to
fucking
say
stupid.
how this pans out because Best Buy seems to be going all in on it without caring.
I hope this fails. I really hope this fails. I hope that they get so much backlash for this because
And they are getting backlash, but it doesn't seem like a whole lot of backlash.
No, but here's the thing. It's not because of the fact that it hasn't been properly implemented yet. Like when this fully goes into service, like it's actually like put it because again,
like when the PS5s and Xboxes come in.
not only with the PS5s and the Xboxes, because right now, iPhone 13 Pro Max, my dad actually ordered it. He had to get it shipped because we went through our carrier to get it. If you were to go in to an Apple store and purchase it straight up, at least 3 months, you would be waiting for your phone to come in the mail. 3 months. That's how big the back order is. Because, and the thing is that with the fact that like because of how like the supply chain is in a fucking shit show because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have this thing going through, and it's like, oh yeah, like we'll help, like here's the one thing, like if we look at just like the 8 basic things, like the free Geek Squad tech support available, that's a nice perk.
There's a lot of nice perks here.
Up to
if
20, like the thing is like up to 24 months of product protection with an active membership. I don't like the fact that it says up to 12 months.
24 months.
24 months, but it's still the fact that they say up to. Like if they
but that's essentially saying you're getting that without buying the warrant if you keep the active membership for that 24 months.
Like that's great. Like I'm not gonna deny the fact, like you have that the free delivery and installation, that would be amazing, especially if you are like, if you have recently purchased a shit ton of things. VIP access to dedicated phone and chat teams, that's actually not a bad perk. I don't see that really being used that often, so that's kind of like a waste. Access, yeah, like the whole like access to exclusive Total Tech member prices, I would say that's where the most benefit will come.
Now let me go ahead and pull up what the deals are right now for Total Tech, because did I tell you about what happened with my dad and how he found out that his old company had a retirement fund that they that they told him they didn't have for him?
Wait, what?
So he used to work for this newspaper company, and they told him that they didn't. And when he asked them if they had a retirement fund, they said no. Come to find out that Social Security sent him a message because he applied for Social Security because he's just retiring. So he told that they sent him a letter, telling him that there's a retirement fund under the name of the company that he used to work for. The same company that told him that they didn't set up a retirement fund for him.
You know, the funny thing is technically that is against the law, because that is them actually preventing from not providing full details of the services that they provide. And they even said it outright too. That makes it even worse. Omission.
Yeah, my dad didn't want to go against him apparently, so he got the money, and one of the things he decided to do was get Total Tech, because he likes buying stuff from Best Buy, so he's probably going to make the most out of it, you know.
That I can understand, like the fact that like I have.
So I can go ahead and tell you what the deals on Total Tech are like right now.
Yeah, please tell me. I'm actually very curious because I do want to know how they actually have that sorted out.
Yeah, let me go ahead and right. So I need you to tell me what the price on this TV shows up for you, and then I'll tell you what the price shows up for me.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna have to just because I have.
So on this one.
All right. So we're gonna be talking about, just to give you guys some context, because again this is all audio. We are referring to the Samsung 75-inch class Q80A series QLED 4K Ultra HD Smart Tizen TV. All right. Again, just as an expectation. So I could save $800, and it could be as low as $1899.99.
Okay. So the Total Tech price brings that down to $1849.99. So it's a $50 savings with Total Tech on the TV.
Yeah.
Now, if we include the fact that you would pay shipping while I wouldn't, that's actually a lot more saving.
It is.
Including the fact that I don't have to pay for the warranty.
That's true. That is very true. But it's still the fact that
now that's before we get to the savings that are going to start tomorrow, because tomorrow they're going to start doing tomorrow is going to be the first time they start with the Monday savings for Total Tech.
So
Monday sale.
So here's the thing though. There's also one thing. You say that I would pay for shipping. I wouldn't.
You could pick it up. Yes, you could pick it up
because
and
there's
completely
a store nearby.
negate that.
Yeah, there's a store nearby. So that is where that aspect could come in. Like if you're in the middle of Bufu fucking Egypt, like Nebraska or something.
Yeah, and I can also do pickup and avoid that. But I can also just avoid buying a protection plan because I have this subscription.
That's true. But then again, unless you have kids, there's really no reason to buy a protection plan. Because
I agree, but I also disagree because I'm a clumsy fucking person who fucking breaks stuff all the time. So I would be paranoid as hell about breaking my TV somehow.
I still remember the time that you broke your mouse while streaming.
You know, that is the only time I've actually broken a mouse, on purpose. That's the only time I've broken a mouse because I've, thrown it. I slammed that, I fucking put that mouse through, hell. But, every other mouse I had, every other mouse I had, I have never done that with them. But for some reason, that mouse I fucking put through hell.
I'm just thinking,
even my current mouse, I have not fucking slammed it once.
I'm just thinking back to it. What was it? Was it Apex? I think it was Apex.
It was Apex. It was Apex. I was raging really badly, and I fucking slammed the thing on the desk, and it broke.
And then we just hear pieces fly off, and we're just like, buddy, you good? And that was the best part is it was also Peanut was there, and he was like, what the fuck happened? And you're just like, I broke my mouse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because it's like, Peter was just surprised. He was like, wait, what? And I was fucking laughing because I was just like, how the fuck? Like, what happened?
Everything.
That's a great story. Like, I fucking love always, like, going back to that. Because that was just the perfect time. That was, I think, the only time where we actually saw you, like, get angry over a game.
Like, that was genuinely the one time I've actually like gotten angry enough to like break
Yes.
something.
Like,
I don't think I've ever gotten angry like before that or after that to break something.
Dude, the fact, like, I always find it interesting when people, like, will go through and, like, break shit out of anger, and I'm just like, okay, like, relax, like, I understand.
I mean, I think like the funny thing is that mouse was already breaking down on me from like wear and tear, so it didn't even matter that I had slammed it.
I think
Because like there was like half the buttons on that mouse stopped working because of wear and tear.
I mean, yeah.
So like it gave me a reason to buy a mouse like these many years later. So
Yeah. I mean, the thing
I'm very lazy when it comes to replacing equipment on like my mouse and headsets and stuff. Until they're like completely and utterly broken and just don't function whatsoever, I just don't replace it.
No, yeah, no, like, it makes sense. Like, why replace something if if it isn't physically broken? Like, for me, I had, like, my original mouse, right? The middle mouse button didn't work at all. And so I was like, alright, what can I do? And so, to give you guys an idea, if you guys look this up, I have the G402. And this is an old ass mouse. I got this back in, I think, PAX 2013. And what it has is it has five secondary buttons. Two of them are for the sensitivity inputs, which like I normally would keep because sometimes it's it's the times where I'm just like, all right, let's just like fuck around with a different sensitivity. And then there's one for aiming. And essentially what that aiming one is that it just reduces your sensitivity like down to a specific DPI so you can like track track people much easier, which I never used it for. I like never cared for it. It was just like, okay, whatever. And so I was just like, all right, well, I have Logitech G Hub. I'm just gonna change the use. Like, I'm gonna just change the actual use of it. And it's like, okay, cool, perfect. So I never had to worry about replacing. Like, again, the reason why I replaced it was because I wanted to get a new mouse, and this was on a very good deal. And I was like, I'm fucking taking that.
Yeah.
G Pro Wireless, man, it's amazing. I love it. Although, the one thing is that the main thing that I have an issue with is the fact that it doesn't have more than 2 buttons. That's the only issue that I have, but again, my middle mouse button works, so I don't have that much of a problem.
Fair enough.
But the problem is that as soon as my middle mouse button doesn't work, I'm gonna have to get a new one.
True.
Because there's no other one there. But okay, getting back on track. What are the deals that you would be getting starting Monday?
We're not exactly sure what the deals are going to be starting tomorrow. I'm assuming it'll be on a bunch of different things. Like, let me go ahead and pull up. I don't know if they've announced anything, because let me look up member savings full tech Monday.
So, going off of the assumption that, like, for the TV, right? Like, we're just going to go based off of that. Essentially, what you would need to do is you would need to buy 4 TVs to equate to me buying for me buying 1 TV. Well, how can I say this? Um, like you would like if like with Total Tech,
May not fit on here.
like you can buy 4 TVs, get protection on it for the same price that me buying 4 TVs. But again, that's 4 TVs. What the fuck am I gonna do with 4 TVs? Like, I'm not setting up a freaking gaming room, and besides, if I was, I don't think I would use something that would be 2,100. Like that has been costed up to $2,000. And here's the kicker.
I think it just depends on like how often you would buy stuff from Best Buy, you know.
But here's the best part. Here's the best part about this. For the same thing, I could just go to Amazon and pay the same price. And the best part is that I spend only $10 a month. Now, granted, it doesn't come with the protection plan or anything of that sort. That's 100% like, that's also, again, that's something that does come into factor of the amount. But for me, because I know that, you know, when it comes to technology, there's a very, very low chance of me actually, like, ruining it. Because I do take care of that stuff, because I do know how expensive the stuff within it is. Like, I don't normally buy the warranty unless it's like a phone or something that is very vital.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's always the one thing when it does come to that. So it's like the fact that, again, you're getting an addition, like you're getting like the warranty for free. That's not, you know, that's pretty good.
Again, I think it just kind of depends on like what you're buying from it. To be honest.
Like, because the way
and
that
how often you're buying stuff.
Like, the way that I see it for this, I think, like, looking at this, I wouldn't get as much of a benefit as maybe someone else would. Because, like, the free...
Because you don't really buy all that much from there.
Well, it's not that you don't buy a lot of stuff from there. Like, if the price is good on Best Buy, I'll buy it. I have no problem with that. It's more the fact of looking at what I would buy and what I would have for the additional accessories. It makes, like, for me, it doesn't make that much sense for me to actually go through with that.
Mm.
Because, like, I don't care for like, dedicated phone and chat teams. Because, again, YouTube exists. Everyday savings on repairs, advanced services, and more, I can understand. Extended 60-day return exchange window, I can understand. But, again, that's not something I would use. Free 2-day shipping. I think that I definitely won't. I can just go and pick it up at the place that's like 15 minutes out. Exclusive Total Tech member prices. I mean, if the price is good enough, sure. I think the only things would be the standard installation, the free warranty, and then the tech support. Those would be the only 3 that I would have, like, alright, I can get the value out of that. Like, and looking at that, if you were to actually kind of, like, set that up, like, going off of those 8 aspects that they're showing off, that's $50 each that you're paying per year for. Actually, no, my apologies, $25. It's not $400, it's only $200. My bad. But it's still just the fact that essentially they're saying, like, hey, we're going to give you early access to this stuff. Which does not help at all. Because as much as it's like, oh, you get early access, guess who else has early access to it? Scalpers. Oh my god. What a surprise. It looks like that, oh, the same thing will happen. Because someone else is a bot, and you are not. So they can instantly claim that. It's just like, the way that I see it is, depending on how it's set up, it may work, but I don't have my hopes up for it.
We'll just have to see. I think whether or not it fails or not depends on how the supposed limited product thing goes.
Yeah.
I think if scalpers end up getting those before actual members, it's guaranteed to fail.
The one issue is that I bet it will. Unless they have it where it's like you have a specific limit. Like you can only buy one of X product. And they have it where it's IP based.
Should I?
Or something of that sort to prevent multiple accounts from logging into the same location and going through that scalper progress, or putting something in place to prevent scalper bots, then I can see this still working. I can see some aspect of this working. But with the fact that there's still so many sites that still do not have scalper protection on it, I do not believe this is going to work. Unless Best Buy is able to prove me otherwise. If they can prove me otherwise, great. I will be...
I don't think they will. I really think we're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, again, it's one of those things where I'm just thinking, like, alright, is this going to be good, bad, whatever? I don't know. All I'm hoping is that it does come out to something decent. Like, in the end, either they fucking learn their lesson and not do shit like that, or they actually utilize the technology that is available to prevent...
They're probably trying to do what GameStop tried to do, except a more expensive option.
It's always funny when, like...
Did you see how the power-up rewards thing kind of failed?
Yeah, no.
And how, like, power-up pro reward members got exclusive access to the consoles an hour before everything would normally go live on the website, but then the problem was that it didn't matter because of the fact that the membership is only hey, you got a wish.
Yay.
It's only like $15.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. Like, I'm just like, it sucks. Like, it's like, as much as I want them to do that, and I don't mind.
And I think that's what, like, they're trying to do. Best Buy is trying to look at that and maybe try and do that, but maybe better. I mean, I don't know if it will be.
I'm not gonna say.
I feel like we just have to kind of see whether or not scalpers are willing to pay $200 for each of their bots. Because Best Buy isn't like GameStop where you can buy multiple consoles in a single purchase. Best Buy has it limited to one per household. So that's every account that they have to buy it for.
So here's the thing though. If they actually have it where it's set for it's one per household, and they do have something based where it tracks the IP of the logins, I can see this working a lot more than anticipated.
Potentially, yeah.
Because the thing is that if they're able to get that set up, where regardless of what account it goes on, if it's purchased from that same IP, it should not go through. And I will be very happy about that. Because that means that scalpers will actually not be able to do it that easily. They would need to run on VPNs, and VPNs cause lag, and lag is what latency, and that was make the major difference. That is actually the only thing that I could say will make a difference between bots and people, is latency. because the fact that they are going to be going through essentially a rerouted server, well, you know, that's always that. But anyway, with that being said, I think I'd say, like, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, not really.
All right. Well, I mean, you had my thoughts on that system and setup, and
Yeah.
the fact that you kind of provide also that like additional information. I've seen a little bit more of this succeeding than initially when you first told me, because of the fact of that whole limit one per household thing. Because
Yeah.
if it is like through, it's like not only just through account but also through IP based, then I can definitely see this working a lot better than initial. Because in the end, it won't stop the scalping. It will definitely put a damper on that. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. We did talk about a lot of stuff, so if you ever have questions, concerns, or anything for that, do let us know. We normally would stream these on Twitch, as well as also upload them on YouTube. So go check those out. If you are watching this on Twitch, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are watching this on YouTube, go follow the Twitch channel. They're both on the screen right now. Actually, well, they're in the description on YouTube, and then on the screen on Twitch. But you get the point. Long story short, there's going to be a way for you to get in contact with the other platform. And it's a good thing too, because, you know, if you want to be part of the conversation, that's the best way to do it. But with that, that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for watching. It's been me.
He's been a Sapphire.
I will see you guys next time. Take care.
I